1 year ago this week, the country of Iran erupted in a way never seen before. Mahsa Jina Amini, a 19-year-old young woman, was arrested by the morality police for allegedly wearing her headscarf in the wrong way. She died in custody. Almost certainly she was murdered. Horrific as that is, it was not something that had never happened before. That, or something not so very different, happens all too often in Iran, and all too often in way too many places around the world. It was what came next that was unprecedented. The murder of Mahsa Amini, or Jina, was one murder too many. Women, thousands and then millions of them, poured into the streets, many defiantly tearing off their hijabs, the Islamic headscarf that women are required to wear in Iran by law. They did this in the face of clubs and bullets, insults and threats, arrest, torture, and even murder. And they did it with rebellious joy and dance and courage that inspired the whole world. They demanded an end to the religious-based laws that dictate what they must and must not wear. No country had ever witnessed such an outpouring of women against their oppression, up against such violence. Nor had what happened next ever been seen. Hundreds of thousands of men came into the streets and joined these women. Hundreds of thousands of people from oppressed nationalities came out as well, demanding an end to their oppression. And millions of people from all backgrounds defiantly raised the demand for freedom. And this, all of this, was inspired by the mighty fury of women fighting against their brutal oppression. This uprising lasted months. People braved beatings, prison sentences, torture, murder, and official public execution. Eventually, the struggle subsided. But even still, within the walls of the prisons, heroic resistance to the regime continues. And in different ways, people are finding the ways to defy the clampdown on women and girls aimed at reasserting the reign of terror from this regime over them. The question now poses itself sharply. What next? We want to urge you to go to revcom.us and spend some time this week digging into the special section we put together on the occasion of this 1-year anniversary. Read the statements from the Communist Party of Iran, MLM, from Ocean Rebellion, the voice of women's rebellion against the Islamic Republic of Iran and against the Taliban. And read the quotes from Bob Avakian. All of these on our site are devoted to help answer that question, what's next, in a way that will actually bring liberation. Here we want to share an excerpt of an audio recording of one of these powerful statements. It is from Ocean Rebellion and 6 other organizations, and it has been signed by over 200 artists and intellectuals from around the world. It is called In Memory of Mahsa Jina Amini and for the Emancipation of All Women in the World.
We are all the oppressed people of the world, and on the anniversary of the unique uprising of Jina, which beat like the heartbeat of the world in Iran, we intend to use everything we have learned to clear the way to overthrow the Islamic Republic, patriarchy, and the system of domination. Jina's uprising passed the red line and targeted the heart of the Islamic Republic, which is its misogynistic Islamic ideology, by the struggle against the compulsory hijab. This forced all groups and individuals in Iran and around the world, from artists and athletes to workers, to take a stand and announce their position. By showing the potential of women, Jina's uprising encouraged the people of the world and even put the possibility of revolution in front of non-believers. It made the power of the world to mobilize and to try to contain it within the framework of the profit-oriented system and thoughts produced by it. However, there is one reality and necessity in front of us, and it is that despite the importance and influence of Jina Uprising, the Islamic Republic is still on its feet.
This statement is so inspiring and powerful. You definitely want to go and listen to the whole thing and read the whole thing at revcom.us. And speaking to this reality, we also want to share this challenge from the Communist Party of Iran, MLM. It's just a portion of what we have available from them on our website. It says, despite the vicious repression that followed and the temporary ebb in the struggle, this uprising that shook the Iranian regime to its foundations illustrates a critical fact about today's world. Humanity is living through unprecedented times. The existing world order is being ripped apart. Millions of migrants are being driven across borders everywhere. Environmental catastrophe looms over the planet. The specter of nuclear war is rising, and the Western democracies are increasingly giving rise to fascist forces that are tearing at the normal ways society is being run, threatening a more naked and far more repressive form of rule. The cry for freedom has been on the lips of millions in Iran, but the burning question is this: will this be freedom for the oppressed to seize on the turmoil that is tearing apart the old order to make revolution, overthrow the regime along with all relations of oppression and exploitation, and replace it with something much better? Or will exploiters and oppressors be free in one form or another, either to continue the old regime or continue the same conditions of oppression and exploitation with new faces at the top? End quote. Again, we want to urge you to go to revcom.us and read these full statements and the other material available there, and then spread these to people everywhere, especially where there are outpourings and commemorations of the anniversary of this beautiful uprising in Iran. The struggle of the women and the broad masses of people in Iran is our struggle. Their blood is our blood, and their cry for real and lasting liberation is one that we must support and join with, fighting to advance this same fight all over the world. In Basics 322, Bob Avakian powerfully captures why everyone who hates oppression must take up the fight to break the chains on women, and how central this struggle against women's oppression can and must be to making a real revolution and bringing about a world where humanity as a whole is finally set free. He says, you cannot break all the chains except one. You cannot say you want to be free of exploitation and oppression, except you want to keep the oppression of women by men. You can't say you want to liberate humanity, yet keep one half the people enslaved to the other half. The oppression of women is completely bound up with the division of society into masters and slaves, exploiters and exploited, and the ending of all such conditions is impossible without the complete liberation of women. All this is why women have a tremendous role to play, not only in making revolution, but in making sure it is all the way revolution. The fury of women can and must be fully unleashed as a mighty force for proletarian revolution.